Whoopi, because The View is live. Does post-election chaos make you feel like the world's coming to an end? Why the smartest man in the world says you're probably right. And Megyn Kelly opens up about her battles with Bill O'Reilly, former Fox News chief Roger Ailes, and President-elect Trump. Plus, four-time gold medal-winning Olympian Simone Biles. Let's get this party started with Whoopi, Sunny Hostin, Joy Behar, Sarah Haynes, and Jedediah Bila. Now, let's get things started.
A lot of speculation that President-elect Trump wants his son-in-law Jared Kushner to be one of his closest advisors, if anti-nepotism laws don't prevent it. Now, Kushner's married to Ivanka, who's helping control her dad's business.
Yeah.
So, isn't this kind of giving Kushner too much access to both sides now?
Yes. I mean, I think so. The anti-nepotism law is there for a reason, and it's a federal law, and it's because you don't want to start having a dictatorship. You don't want to start having a royal family, that kind of thing. And I think what's also difficult, or could be difficult, is if he is married to Ivanka, and Ivanka is running the Trump organization, then certainly there's some sort of conflict of interest there. There's a business interest, now there's a governmental interest. What if somebody decides to stay, a foreign dignitary stays at the Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., because they want to sort of inure themselves to the administration? I mean, there are all sorts of problems. And even if there wasn't a law, what about the appearance of impropriety?
Well, what about the paper? He runs the New York Observer.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit a conflict of interest right there.
Yeah.
It would be like if Trump were involved with the New York Times. We wouldn't allow that. This is a newspaper.
Well, and you've also got this sense of entitlement with this particular, and reading more about him all along the way, from getting into Harvard but not really having good grades. You have to wonder how you get into an institution like Harvard.
Well, so many gave a couple $1 million.
Yeah, like I just don't like the idea that all the way along, every job and every title he's had on his resume was given to him out of having people that could give that to him. So I just...
Isn't that exactly what the Trump voters voted against? Somebody who was entitled in that way? They was pissed off about that?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, this guy, Jared, is not going to be the one they want there. But
just a little bit about him. Some things that I do see as positive from Kushner. He essentially, reports are that he's the one who blocked Chris Christie from being involved in the way that he was instrumental in getting foreign.
That's like,
but that was a personal...
No, I know, but
you mess with my father.
Well, Chris Christie had a lot. You know what?
You will not have a job here.
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out
He's
how
embroiled in scandal, though. You know,
but it also means he holds a grudge. And do we want someone? I mean, advising
how do you
the president?
physically block Chris Christie? That's what I want to know.
Joy,
Let me get the joke in.
No, but some other things. He was instrumental in getting Corey Lewandowski fired, who I think Corey Lewandowski was a disaster. He persuaded Trump to reconsider naming Steve Bannon as chief of staff. So I think, I mean, this is a guy who was a CEO of a company at a very young age, at the age of 27. He doesn't have political experience, but he does have a lot of business savvy. And I think this idea...
We have that already, don't we, in Donald Trump?
Well, but that's who he's going to surround himself with.
But has business savvy.
We
got that.
Prevent, even, let's say this guy doesn't get an official appointment. You essentially can't prevent Donald Trump from picking up the phone and unofficially making Kushner an advisor and saying, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, but he shouldn't have a clearance then. He's going to get security clearance. Yeah.
You worried about security clearance? You weren't worried about Hillary Clinton's security clearance?
I was worried about that too. But this guy was worse, okay? I was worried about that too.
But what about the lack of experience? I mean, I don't know any... I mean, think about it. Who would go to a doctor that doesn't have a medical degree and say, you can operate on me?
I'm sorry, politics is different.
Who would do that?
No.
So why is someone without any political experience being advised by someone that has no political experience.
What's missing in politics is common sense. I would rather have a small business owner who has hired and fired workers, who has seen the impact of minimum wage laws.
Being the president?
I would rather have that person as an advisor. Look, there are people out there that believe if you open the telephone book and pick out a random name, that person will have a lot more common sense than your average person in D.C. And sometimes I agree with that.
Next time you need surgery, come to me.
Surgery is different.
Come to me.
Surgery
I'll do a good job. I'm married to a doctor, and so I have a lot of experience.
Surgery is a tax policy. It's very different.
He's got...
It's funny.
He's got
surgery.
Well, in a way, maybe it is. I don't know.
It's possibly less important.
There are people when you speak that clamor for you to run for president, and there's a reason for that.
Yes,
because you talk common sense.
But here's the difference. When I speak, at least you know that I've actually looked stuff up. So I understand, you know, so people think I might be more aware. They also know that I've had a wide variety of lives. And so they think maybe I know some stuff. But when you have someone who doesn't seem to do the homework, who doesn't seem to have any idea how things actually run.
I'm talking about Trump, not Trump.
Well, I'm talking about both of them because I don't know. I can only tell you what I've seen. And, you know, when you bring up Hillary, I think to myself, you know what? She may not have been the best candidate for people, but I know she knew what she was doing.
I don't. I don't.
Well, then you haven't done your homework.
Oh, I've done my homework.
No, you haven't done your you haven't done your homework.
If she knew what she was doing, though, she would have known that those documents that were labeled confidential, she was briefed on that.
Let me explain something to you. I know you can keep bringing that. You can bring those emails up as much as you want. She wasn't hacked. Everybody else was. That's all I'm saying.
We don't know that.
Well, we do know. Now, come on. But that's not my point. My point is not talking about Hillary. My point is talking about Donald. And when I see that he is not prepared, when I see 60 Minutes and I see that he doesn't know things that he should know, only because he's running. Just look like you know what you're going to do. I don't know anything about Jared Kushner. I don't know anything about it. I know he's married to his daughter. But I do want, I mean, there are a lot of people who come into politics who don't have a lot of political experience, you know, and sometimes that's great. But they surround themselves with people who do. And that's what and so, you know, I don't mind that as long as the people you're surrounding yourself with are looking to take care of all of us and not just them.
Well, he looks like he looks like he's making a few decisions that might be, you know, he's got this Nikki Haley possibility,
which is great.
Reince Priebus. These are real, you know, politicians. By the way, are you covering up a hickey or what?
No. First of all, I thought that. Let me tell you. You don't know me if you think I would cover up a hickey. I would be wearing that loud and proud if I had a hickey on my head. So.
Oh, my Lord. You know what? Before we go, can I just ask you about the purple?
Yeah, it's kind of in contrast to what you just said. I am wearing something for a reason. Today, this is purple for World Pancreatic Cancer Day, on a little more serious note, because it has only a 3 to 6% survival rate, and therefore it's often underfunded. And
make sure you get yourselves checked. We all have to go to the doctor and get ourselves checked. Whether you like it or not, you got to do it if you want to live.
A doctor with experience.
Yes. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics.
So you know the Hot Topics keep going after the view. Live on Facebook.
Joy, do you have a fear or phobia?
Do rodents count? I go in the kitchen, I turn on the light, and I see a little goes in the toaster.
I hope you got rid of that toaster.
With the man who just became our president. Plus, 4-time gold medal winning Olympian, Simone Biles.
Hey, welcome back. Sarah, tell the people.
I have some news. It is that season. Millions of holiday cards are about to hit your mailboxes around the world. So up your reindeer game this year with Minted, the ultimate source for unique, personalized holiday cards from independent artists. Thanks to Minted, members of our audience are going home with $200 towards your Minted holiday card order, including free matching envelope designs and recipient addressing. credit as if I just gave everyone a gift. You're welcome.
That's
Well,
good.
speaking of gifts that keep on giving, Trump's win has other celebrities thinking about political futures, and an op-ed in Cosmopolitan wants them to quit it. Apparently, the latest celeb considering a presidential run is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, you know, People magazine voted him the sexiest man alive, but some people say, well, he's a wrestler turned actor. But Arnold was an actor turned politician.
Al Franken was a comedian. You've got
Very brilliant.
Reagan.
Yes.
You also have a lot of activists. Mark Ruffalo's out there doing so much good work. You know, like Leonardo DiCaprio with the environment.
Actors are people.
They also have other interests. So I
Yes.
think if someone, I get the idea that if someone tomorrow is like, you know what, I have a following, I think I'll be president, which may have just happened. But, sorry. But other than that, I think if people decide on a grassroots level to get involved and show people that they're passionate, more
You know,
power to
you know
them.
what? Even Ben Carson said that he wasn't qualified to take a job in
Which
the
that was
cabinet.
a scary
and
quote.
he's nuttier than a can of almonds. I mean, this guy, even he knows that he's not qualified. Although, didn't he say he was qualified to run for president?
Yes, well, and that's the thing. I think it's wonderful when people get engaged on a grassroots level or they work their way up. I would have no problem with The Rock deciding maybe he wanted to be the mayor of a city, maybe even governor, but the president? I mean, let's start
from 0 to 10.
0 to 10. Let's start somewhere where you sort of can gain that political experience that I deeply, deeply think that you need to run
It's a
this
very
country.
complicated job.
I don't like the assumption, though, that people make an assumption that celebrities are uninformed, or that because somebody doesn't have a political career, that they haven't run a bit. A lot of these celebrities are out there, they're running businesses, they're doing multiple things. They're more well-read sometimes than some of the people that we have in the House and Senate voting on key issues.
Well, like Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, it's
Kim
true.
Kardashian.
That's
She
right.
runs a business.
But running a business is different than running the free
It is,
world.
but you know what? If you start and you start somewhere, you're talking about running for mayor or running. I don't begrudge anyone. When I look at these last two candidates, I sat and I said, is this the best we could do in a whole country full of people? And if there's somebody out there who's run a business or who's been successful, who has a political ambition, I want to encourage them to do it. I don't care what your job is.
I think a lot of people probably did that the morning after. They ran out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting involved now.
Yeah, well, good for
Anybody
them.
can.
Well, she is, wait a second, you know, she is 1 million votes ahead of him in the popular vote at the moment. So she actually did win the
But
election.
a lot of people felt like we could have done better. We could have had better options, even in the Republican primary.
This is the crutch about this. It's always easier to sit on your behind and say, yeah, they're not doing a good job. Get up.
Yes.
If you think you can, if you think it can be done better, get up. And as I'm getting up right now, because I'm going to say it again, we are not prepared here in New York City to be the White House. Donald, you got a fabulous hotel right in Washington.
She's throwing him out again.
Because people can't walk down the street. They're rerouting people. We're not prepared for this. We're not prepared for this. Donald, please, this has nothing to do with whether you want to launch. You can't have a White House in the middle of New York City on Fifth Avenue. You can't. Please. We'll be right back. Bong. We'll be back.
Hey everybody, it's me, Megyn Kelly. I'm backstage here at The View, and I can't wait to come on and tell you all about my new book, Settle for More, and explain to you how you can do exactly that in your lives. See you in a couple of minutes. You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
What I say is what I say. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
So that was Megyn Kelly during the Republican. When I see it, I just think, oh my Lord, Republican primary debates taking on the man who would become our next president. She opens up about tangling with Trump and other difficult men in her life in her new book, Settle for More. Please welcome the amazing and fabulous Megyn Kelly. So
I love that moment so much. I just can watch it over and over again.
And you have. I think everybody's got it memorized by now.
Almost, just about. It was kind of fabulous, you have to admit. And it's been more than a week since he became president-elect.
Just keep saying it over and over.
It'll come easier in time. But, you know, he's called you some same names he's called me. Crazy, sick. He never called me a bimbo, so you got that on me.
Because you're blonde.
So what went through your head on election night when you saw...
On election night?
Yeah. When it was like, oh, snap.
Well, I, like everyone else in the media, had been looking at the polls, which had suggested, you know, it was going to come out differently.
Yeah.
So I was just as surprised as anybody.
Right.
There was a moment around 9 o'clock that evening. I'm sitting on the set, and Brett Baer's to my right, and Chris Wallace is to my left. And Chris Wallace was the one to say, I think we might actually be coming to the realization that Donald Trump may be the next president of the United States.
Yeah.
And it really was one of those, like, I think he's right.
Wow.
So it wasn't, you know, I know people who see that moment think I must have been like, oh, no.
No.
But I wasn't. I honestly, as a reporter, I was like, this is going to be so much more interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, this is going to be far more interesting to cover.
Yeah.
Megyn, at the top of the segment, we saw at that debate some of the tension between you and Donald Trump. But many of us know that tension started long before that actual moment. Tell me a little bit about how this began, how you've been feeling through it, and where did this come from on his end?
So this is one of the things I reveal in Settle for More, which is the prequel to that debate question. And it involves Donald Trump just getting angry with me for a segment I had done on the Kelly file the week before the debate. He was very ticked off about a story we had done about his divorce from Ivana Trump, which was kind of interesting because I was actually kind of defending him in the segment, but he just didn't want it getting any airtime. So he insisted that I call him that Monday before the Thursday presidential debate, or otherwise he wasn't going to come on my show that Monday night. I called him, and he was not happy with me. And it ended in him saying, I almost unleashed my beautiful Twitter account against you, and I still may. And, you know, now as the world knows, he did.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a tumultuous year by any standard, but I feel like we came out of it all right. He and I are in a better place. You know, I do feel like we should, even if there's difficulty coming to grips with the fact that he's won, right, by so many.
No, I just have difficulty saying it.
But I do feel like we owe it to him and to our country to stand behind him and hope for the best and root for him and hope that the presidency, that, you know, the incredible majesty, if you will, of that office will appeal to his
there is
better
a place for the loyal opposition also, which I consider myself one. Yeah. I mean,
No, that's all part of it.
that's right. Yeah. So in the middle of all the craziness, and you know, you interviewed Donald Trump at Trump Tower. I saw that interview, and I thought, well, he had threatened you. His supporters had threatened you. Your daughter was scared that some harm would come to you, and yet I was a little disappointed in you that you didn't say to him, Donald, I'm getting threats from your supporters. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say that?
You know, if you read the book, you'll sort of see it fold out. Because a lot of people, I would say in particular, people who are more left-leaning, didn't like that interview because they really wanted to see me give it to him and, like, sort of call him out on some of the sexist comments and so on. And what I was trying to do with the sit-down in Trump Tower and the interview that followed, it was an off-ramp from a year of severe threats. And, I mean, real danger.
So you didn't want to confront him.
I was looking to get him to stand down, Joy. And
okay.
what
That's
became
fair.
clear to me after a year of that behavior was 9 months. No one was going to stand him down but me. You know, my boss at the time had tried to get him to knock it off unsuccessfully. My friend Sean Hannity had tried to, and he's obviously tight with Trump and was then. He worked behind the scenes to try to lower the temperature. You know, it was just incredible to me how much anger there was over a debate question. A debate question that if you had looked at Trump's history, anybody could have seen was going to come at him in the general if he was against Hillary. And so no one could get him to stand down. And so for me, it was an empowering moment because I just resolved that I was going to be the one to do it. I was going to walk into Trump Tower. We were going to sit down together, and he was going to stop the nonsense. And we had a very good meeting, and he did stop the nonsense.
Oh, he did. He did.
And he did.
Well, that's
and
good.
you are a tough lady, and I know this because we worked together at Fox News and went head to head all the time. So I miss you too. So it's striking to me that he bullied you. he basically bullied you, and that's been an experience in your lifetime that you talk about in your book.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, the book has gotten a lot of press for the stories about Donald Trump and the stories about Roger Ailes, my boss, but those are basically 2 or 3 chapters in the book, and the 20 chapters that are the heart of the book are about, I think, empowerment, the value of hard work, the value of radical honesty, and I think it's in particular going to be a great book for women because it's about pulling yourself up through difficult situations and embracing some of the natural adversities of life as opportunities to grow. And my experience has been that 1 year of bullying I had in the 7th grade, which was brutal. I had no friends. I had, you know, it was just, it culminated in a moment where I was alone in my home on a Saturday night with my parents, and they were having a party. You know, the head bully was having a party. And they called up and she said, "Do you know where all the people from my party are?" And I said, "No." And they all screamed into the phone, "We're here."
Little mean girls.
"We're here." Oh. And I just went out in my backyard in upstate New York. There was snow on the ground. It had been iced over, and I skated on top of the snow, just crying, you know, just feeling so alone and so unlikable, which I think everyone has felt at some point in their life. You know, it's terrible to
Well,
think
you
that.
showed them, Megyn.
How do you let me know? The point is, adversity like that, I believe, is an opportunity to grow. And if you don't do those crunches, you're never going to have a strong core. Okay? So when you get gut punched, you know, later in life by anybody, including a presidential, I mean, a president, you can take it.
See, it's going to take everybody. We have a saying, you know. Megyn Kelly sticking around, and we will be right back.
We are back with the fantastic Megyn Kelly.
Megyn, I wanted to talk to you about the title of your book, Settle for More. You said you got that from a Dr. Phil episode?
I love me some Dr. Phil. So back in the day, I used to be a very unhappy lawyer. I practiced law for 9 years. Yeah, I mean, is there any other kind? I'm sorry.
Occasionally lawyers are, sometimes.
So,
my husband.
Listen, I'm a small town girl. I'm from upstate New York. I didn't come from any money. I didn't come from any circles of power. We didn't come from the country club. And I made it into law school. I went to Albany Law School, which is my hometown. I put myself through. Yes, thank you. One was one. And I put myself through law school, and then I became a lawyer, and I felt legitimized. You know, like I am a serious person now. People are going to have to take me seriously. So I drove very hard through my 9 years as a lawyer and worked very hard and did very well. And so it was hard to admit that I wasn't happy, that it was not working for me. And there was one night, as I discussed in the book, while I was sitting on my couch in Chicago, and good old Dr. Phil came on and said, "The only difference between you and someone you envy is you settled for less." And I was just ready to hear it. You know, it's like these things can be sort of cliche unless you're just ready to hear them. And for me, I was. And I resolved in that moment to settle for more. You could see, even in my journal entries, which a lot of which I include in this book, my handwritten journal entries, which I've kept for 20 years, that I kept asking myself, how can I settle for more in my personal life and in my professional life? And it's really just a gut check that I want people to do, to keep asking themselves if they really are happy, or a better word would be whole. And if not, to dare to make the change, because I do believe hard work can get you where you want to go.
Now, you don't hold back in this book at all when you're talking about Roger Ailes. You claim that he repeatedly sexually harassed you. I commend you for not holding back, by the way. It's a riveting read. When did this start, and how bad did it actually get?
Well, I wanted to include the chapter on Ailes because, listen, I had no need to come out and express this publicly to anybody, right? I was outed as one of his accusers against my will, but it was out there and people knew. But no one talks openly about sexual harassment. I mean, I know a lot of women, and I know a lot of powerful women, and I know very few women to whom this hasn't happened. Everyone I know, it's amazing, comes out and is like, of course, yes, it's happening, you're right. And women have chosen for so many years to just deal, because that's what we believed we had to do to survive in a man's world, to get ahead, to not be labeled as a whiner or a complainer or someone who couldn't hang with the guys. And that's the position I was in when it was happening to me, and I had no power. I'd been there for 12 months. So I kind of explained what he did. You know, I don't get into the salacious details. It's a couple, just so people can make up their own minds whether it amounted to sexual harassment, but trust me, it did by any measure. And at the time, I didn't know what to do. So I wound up telling a supervisor when it culminated in an incident in his office, which I write about and Settle for More. I call a lawyer. And, but I knew the reality of the situation, that if I went to the general counsel, it would be career suicide for me. He controlled all those people.
Right.
And the end of the story basically is that when he finally got accused of it by my colleague Gretchen Carlson and other women started coming forward, by that point, it dawned on me that it was not just me, which is what I had been led to believe at the time by my supervisor. And by that point, I did have some power, and I used it.
Right. But that's good. You know, people say, why do you wait? This is why you wait. Now, it's interesting. Bill O'Reilly is having a little bit of a temper tantrum with you because he suggested that you are making Fox News look bad by speaking out about it. Now, it's interesting, since he was accused of sexual harassment himself, does he see the irony in what he says, do you think?
I don't know the answer to that question. But listen, I'll say this. I didn't have to put that chapter in the book, as I said, but I had to talk about it with Rupert Murdoch and Lachlan Murdoch, who are the owners of the Fox News channel and are running the company now. And they both felt it was important to include, too. I mean, to their credit, because they could have said, this is a black eye, we got through it, let's just... They said, go for it. You know what? Go for it. It's important. We want women to see this story. Women have to start talking about this, right? It's not about me, because I guarantee you right now, other women are out there and they're going through this. They believe it's them, they blame themselves, right? As far as Bill goes, I think there's some interesting backstories in the book about my time at Fox News, and I'll tell you that I love my colleagues. And Bill said something on the air the other day, which is true. It's a great place to work, and it's full of really hard workers, and I love them. I've been with them for 12 years. But I do think that, you know, some people, in particular some men, have had a very different reaction to the outing of this story than some women in particular. And, you know, I'll just encourage people to be open-minded and realize the message they're sending to young women in trying to diminish the reporting on this.
The suggestion that you are making the network look bad by saying something, isn't it that Roger Ailes made the network look bad?
Right, yeah.
That's exactly what I said the other day.
Well, I have a statement that we need to read. A lawyer representing Ailes gave this statement earlier in the week. I categorically deny the allegations Megyn Kelly makes about me. I worked tirelessly to promote and advance her career. As Megyn herself admitted to Charlie Rose, watch that interview and then decide for yourself. My attorneys have restricted me from commenting further. So suffice it to say that no good deed goes unpunished. What do you want people to take away from your book?
Because you did praise him in that interview.
Many times.
Yes.
And it is possible to both be harassed by somebody and then go on to have a good working relationship with him. And that was the case for me.
Yeah.
You know, after I complained and avoided him, he stopped. And he got the message and, you know, I now know, moved on to others. What I thought at the time was just moved on from me.
What would you do if he came into your office now and did that?
Oh, if somebody tried to sexually harass me now?
Yeah, what would you do now?
It would go down very differently.
How? What would you say I'd do?
I would stop them on the spot. I mean, now I feel much more empowered. Back then, I was like, I want this job. Oh, my God, I just got a job in TV. I was so excited. I'd only been in television for 12 months. It was my dream job. Right now, I'd stop them right in the middle, and I'd say, hold on. That's inappropriate. But you have to feel empowered to do that. And honestly, I think if you read this book, Settle for More, you'll see if you're not feeling empowered and if you're feeling just maybe like a weakest or weaker version of yourself versus what you could be. Maybe you'll see a roadmap to fixing that, because I sort of lay out over the course of my career the opportunities I had to grow. I wasn't always strong or empowered or just as feisty even.
So you saw Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil helped a lot. And there were a lot of things along the way. So I think you'll see the story more clearly and Settle for More.
Well, a big thanks to Megyn Kelly for being here. Her new book is called Settle for More. It's available in stores now, and we will be right back.
How are you? I'm really good. I have to tell you, this is one I don't have. I have a lot of them, but can I just...
Yeah, of course.
What's this really? I always check.
Four-time gold medal winner Simone Biles was a standout superstar at the Summer Olympics in Rio. Take a look at her final floor routine where she nails her signature move, the Biles.
Yep. You've seen some of these tumbling runs. You won't see them done like this, though.
To her winning ways in her new book, Courage to Soar. Please welcome Simone Biles. For that kind of entrance. I thought maybe the Biles would play out across our stage. Now, you talk about in your earliest years that you and your sister, Adria, were in the foster system because your mom had suffered with some substance abuse, and you were raised by your grandparents.
Yes.
How did that journey shape you and the person you are today?
I was very young, so I don't remember a lot of what happened, but it shaped me into the person I am, to be strong, and like me and my sister are like bind by the hips, so I'm always looking out for her.
How much younger? Is she younger?
Yeah, she's 2 years younger.
2 years younger, okay.
We look at you now, and so many of us are in awe of you. I can't even do a cartwheel. I watched that. I was like, how is she doing this? You're a world champion, an Olympic gold medalist, an elite, a true elite athlete. How did you get started in gymnastics?
I got started by a daycare field trip. That day we were actually supposed to go to the oil ranch, but it started raining, so we ended up at a gym near the daycare, and that's how I started.
And what you were jumping around and doing all kinds of stuff, and somebody called the house.
Yeah, it's like, that looks good.
You call us because you have a diamond here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of fabulous.
Fabulous. You went so far. I can't imagine what it must feel like to stand on that Olympic podium. What goes through your mind when you're standing there?
It just, you kind of feel like you're very honored to represent your country because only 5 of us got selected. And I just feel so much pride, and it's just like a moment of, wow, I did it.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know what, Simone, you are, and everybody, you know, you really bring out a lot of love for you, I think, because you're so great. You have so much talent, and yet you're such a young girl. It's a lot of pressure on you, isn't it?
Yes.
And I was reading that you had a mental block about it. Tell me about that.
In the beginning of the year, once it turned 2016, I swore I forgot everything I knew about gymnastics. I went into the gym and I couldn't do anything.
You mean your body forgot?
Yes, I just like drew a blank for like a week because I was so nervous about the year. But then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take it like I do every other year and just go meet by meet, and that's what I did. So I like
that's smart.
got it back.
Go back to plan A.
Oh, you got it back already.
You've been coached by the greats. You were coached by Amy Borman for so much of your career, but then when you made the Olympic team, you were coached by Martha Caroli, who is gymnastics royalty.
Yes.
But her style was a little bit different, wasn't it? Tell us about that.
It was a little bit different. She knew I was a very hyperactive kid, and I didn't concentrate the way I didn't concentrate the way the other girls on the national team were. They were very like focused, and I could be like waving to the crowd before I go, and she worried her a lot. But before the Olympics, one of the days, I think it was team finals, I was like super excited to compete, so I'm like screaming at breakfast, and she's like, Simone, calm down, calm down. So I'm like, okay. And so then it comes the next day, me and Allie have all around finals, and I'm just like this the whole time during breakfast, and she comes over to me and she goes, Simone, you're really worrying me. She's like, can I please hear a laugh or do something crazy so I know you're okay? So that he knew that's how I operated to do good.
Right. Oh. You know, one of the things that I love about you is that you are able to do things that other people can't do, in part because of your size and the way that you're built. So you're able to stay in the air like that and then come down and do that. Yes. When you know you're on fire, do you know that you're just going to soar higher than anybody else? Do you feel it?
Like once I start my routine, once I get over the first pass, and then I'm dancing, I'm like, okay, I got this. So I get really good.
Because it shows. I mean, it's one of those things that are great. And you also were given the Record Breaker Award at Glamorous Women of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you.
I told you, you met another record breaker that night.
Yes.
Who did you meet?
I met Caitlyn Jenner, and she came over and talked to me about her Olympic experience, and she just said, take your time, like getting back into whatever, like your passion and love for the sport, but take some time off because you've been going for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I hope you do get a chance to take a little bit of a break. Our thanks to Simone Biles. Her book, Courage to Soar, A Body in Motion, A Life in Balance, is available now, and members of our studio audience are going home with a copy. We'll be right back. You are like a little...
Tomorrow.
You know, we're going to have to do an intervention on Sarah. Sarah cannot help hitting people.
She even hits Simone.
She hits Simone.
It's like Punky Brewster and Friends. Whenever I laugh, I hit people, and Joy gets bruises.
She's killing me, and I got a flu shot on this arm.
She only hits right.
I go, if I never hit you, it means you're having a really off show.
She just gets excited. Hey, I see it all the time. Did you spend time in a locker room?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to know this, but I do want to say to you all, thank you for coming. We want you to have a great day, everyone, and take a little time to enjoy the view.